This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Hi friends! This week, I'm decorating more mini squishies. If you didn't see the first video I did, a while back I unknowingly bought 3 different sets of the same squishies. They must be like mass produced and sold by different companies because I even bought them at different places. I mean, it's my own dumb fault for not looking closely, but now I have a ton of duplicates. I don't want to waste them, so I'm going to make them over. Like I said, I did this once before with some cat squishies, but this week I'm going to do all of my little bunny squishies. We have 2 blue, 4 pink. Some have these very pointy boob-like feet, and 2 of them have normal round feet. The ones with round feet have this weird long tail, and the others have a little puffball tail. Okay, let's get started. Alright, first we're going to start with this dark blue one. The face is a little cockeyed, the feet are kind of hanging off the bottom, and it's got that weirdly shaped tail. It also has a little dingle-dangle off the top of his head. And he's got these 2 little weird spots here, which I assume are where the holes were in the mold. I guess I can just pull off that little dingle-dangle. He also has some kind of rough seams, so I'm going to trim them just a little bit. I do have to be careful not to get too aggressive with my trimming. I've learned my lesson before, trimming too much, it just creates more work for myself. So it's better to be conservative in this case. Trimming the seams isn't something that you have to do, but I know that it'll just bug me if I don't trim them at all. Generally, you should also sand your squishies so that the paint adheres, but I forgot. And luckily, Squishy Fate was on my side and the paint adhered just fine. I also trimmed off those weird things on the top of the head, and that left it a little uneven. So to smooth it out, I'm going to cover those spots with a bit of puffy paint. This is straight puffy paint, so it will fill in nice and thick. I also made sure to smooth out the edges so that it blends in nicely. I did go over the areas that I accidentally trimmed the seams a bit too much also. After all that's dry, it still needs a tiny bit more smoothing, so I'm going to switch to white puffy paint and a brush. I switched to white just to save myself a little bit of time later, not having to cover up the red. I'm doing thinner, more precise layers and focusing on smoothing out the edges. I did about 2 to 3 coats like that until it looked smooth enough for my liking. Then I went in with straight matte fabric paint for a white base coat over the whole thing. 2 coats of that and we're covered enough to start the paint job. For this first bunny, I'm going to paint it with this nice, incredibly see-through light green color. It's matte and puffy paint mixed together. This is just going to be the first of 5,000 coats. I do have a theme for these bunnies, but I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet. So far, he's just green. I decided that I actually hate this color because he kind of looks like a booger, so I had to lighten it up. Of course, the pot is already really full because I struggled to mix paint right the first time, obviously. So I always end up having to mix until I can't fit another drop in the cup. I had to transfer some paint out before I could adjust this color the way I wanted it. The moment of truth. Yes, that's a much better green. You'll also notice that this green dries pretty matte compared to the other colors that are a bit shinier. I must have used a lot more matte paint in the mixture than I did puffy paint. Whoops. So I'm painting his ears a warm brown. And then I'm going to add some spots in the same color as his ears. I wanted him to be a spotted bunny, kind of like this. And hopefully these actually look like fur spots and not like a weird fungus or something. And I guess I'll paint his big stupid tail because I don't know what else I'm going to do with it. We can finally address this bald spot on his head, and this is going to be a hat. And this is yet another ugly see-through green. But I'm going to keep this green because there's a specific reason. Then I'm going to add a dark brown trim, some black details, and a little yellowy puffball in the center, because his hat is going to be a kiwi. I'm adding some cute little blushy pink cheeks, and I'm going to try to remember to do this on all of the bunnies. Blushy cheeks are so cute, and I always forget to do them. I used a white gel pen to sketch out his face, because these bunnies are so tiny and so easy to mess up. I really want to be sure before I paint it on. You can just wipe gel pen off with a little bit of water. I added some little pink toe beans, and something about a bunny wearing a kiwi beanie said nerd to me, so I'm going with little crossed eyes and buck teeth. Then I felt like the back needed something. The back of Squishies are always kind of boring, or at least mine are, so I'm gonna add a little kiwi next to his weird tail, like a little butt tattoo. I guess he's not as nerdy as I thought. And he's done. He looks pretty cute, but when I squish him, he kind of looks like he's gonna explode. That's because the paint has formed a sealed layer. So I'm just going to take a pin and poke a few holes until air can get in and out and you get a good squish. I do try to aim for the darker areas of paint to hide the holes, but they really are barely noticeable anyway because the paint is so flexible. See, now he squishes much better. Okay, he's pretty darn cute. I love that little nerdy face. I thought about calling him Kiwi Ew.
Kiwi Ew.
But let's call him Harry, because I read once that another name for kiwis was hairy berries. Next is this slightly lighter blue one. The face is even, the feet are almost where they belong, and he has a normal bunny puffball tail. The seams look a bit cleaner, but I am still going to trim them very carefully. I mean, how can I not? Look how satisfying that is. It was so nice, I even sang myself a little song. So proud of myself. Don't get too cocky. This squishy has 5 of those little pore hole things, which I will need to trim off. Then I followed the same steps as before, covering it up with some puffy paint, except that this time I actually finger painted it on, and that seemed to end up much more smooth. I switched to white puffy paint for further smoothing, and then finally a white base coat with matte fabric paint. For the paint job, I'm going to paint this a nice light orange. Probably my least favorite color right now, but it has to be done. Some things that I've discovered about mixing fabric paint is that matte is much more pigmented, but puffy is more flexible, so you do need a mix of both. Also, darker colored paints are way more pigmented, so it'll only take a tiny bit of darker paint to adjust a color, where if you accidentally go too dark and need to lighten a color up, it's going to take a lot of that lighter color to fix it. That's how I ended up with such a full green pot. I accidentally went a little too green and had to use insane amounts of yellow to counter it. I'm painting the ears a darker carroty color because this bunny is going to have a carrot theme. It's a little on the nose for a bunny, but listen. I don't know, I just thought her ears would make cute carrots. Anyway, I also added darker orange paws, a snout spot, and an eye patch. Oh, and her tail. Then I added some carrot wrinkle line things along the ears. Instead of leaves at the top, we're going to add some green bows. I spent a long time planning each of these out so that each bunny was unique and had different fun little features. I sketched on a little face and can't forget to add the rosy cheeks. I mean, I actually can't forget them because it's only the second squishy of 6. And the face I'm going to paint on in a dark brown because I just think that will look nicer than black. Even with the sketch, I really struggled with making the eyes the same size and evenly spaced, but I think I got it in the end. I added the mouth and nose and some little toe beans. Ugh, I'm gonna have to fix that side. Then let me touch up this random spot that appeared out of nowhere and add the eye shinies. Then last, because her backside also needs some fun, I'm going to turn her tail into a little carrot. She's so cute. I'm very anti-orange lately, and I still love her. Her name is Carrie. She's so fun. Something else that's fun is today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of classes ranging from art and design to film and video. They even have classes to help out with your workflow and productivity, like this Defeat Procrastination course by Sarah Edwards. I am the queen of putting things off, and this class really helped me to get past my overthinking and get stuff done. Skillshare has tons of classes taught by industry experts for all skill levels, so I can dive in with no experience and learn at my own pace. Because there are so many different classes, it can be kind of hard to know where to start, but Skillshare has created learning paths. Those are curated class lists meant to be taken in order to build on a topic and help you improve even faster. I recently started this creative productivity learning path to help overcome my creative anxiety and come up with original new ideas. I'm such a fan of Skillshare that I want to give you the chance to check them out too. That's why the first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Get started today. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Alright, our third squishy is this pink one. The face looks good, the feet look good, she has that dumb teardrop tail, and atrocious seams. Look at those. That's nasty. Let's fly through prepping her. Okay, I'm gonna start with a light purple. A really light purple. Like a whisper of purple. I had to go with the second and I think even third and fourth coat to build that up. But she really needed to start light because she's gonna get progressively darker. And I'm starting with these facial markings over the eyes and around the body. I wanted it to look like this bunny, but I'm not sure that it's actually reading bunny. She might sort of look like a dog. She is going to have a light belly, and for the back, well, I wasn't really sure what to do for the markings. I couldn't visualize it. I looked for pictures, but surprisingly, it's really hard to find pictures of the top of a bunny. Like, do they have a stripe on their head? That looked sort of weird, so I just got rid of it and painted the whole thing this grape color. Side note, I looked at so many pictures of bunnies that I am severely fighting the urge to get a pet bunny. Like, oh, I want one. Anyway, let's add some really dark purple ears. I remembered the rosy cheeks and then added dark purple eyes. Really big and deep. She got a purple nose and little purple paws. And then I wanted these big starry eyes. But that technique didn't work. So let me wipe that off and try again. There, that's better. Finally, let me finish the nose and add the mouth. Then, to add something a little more exciting to her, I decided she's going to be holding a star. Is it a cookie? Is it a pillow? Is it a real star from outer space? No idea, but I didn't plan for how close together her stinking paws are, so I had to get a little creative to actually make it look like a star. Let me touch up that eye mistake. And then for the back, I painted her tail dark purple. And then I'm going to add a little star butt tattoo on the side. So I'm still not sure she looks like a bunny, but I do like her. Her little starry-eyed gaze really got me. Her name is Rosemary. Alright, we have another pink one. The face is mostly centered. It's got those nipply feet. And here I noticed that the printing is like tiny little dots. I'm sure the others were like this and I just didn't notice. He has a little puffball tail, seams that aren't that bad, and those 5 little nubbins on top. For some reason, I got stuck in this loop of squishing his face. It just looked familiar to me for some reason. Well, let's get rid of that. All right, I'm gonna start with a pink. Oh boy, that's way darker than I thought. I don't know if I want it that dark. I'm gonna have to lighten that. That's just way more aggressive than what I want. Oh yeah, that's much better. So let's finish up that base coat. Then I'm gonna add some red ears. I think every bunny I paint in this video has different colored ears. Anyway, something about red paint, or at least red paint that I mix, it always needs like 5,000 coats. I added some black seeds, because yes, this is a strawberry themed bunny. And don't come for me in the comments about strawberries not having black seeds. I don't care. I like them. Then I'm gonna add a little leafy hat. It's not big enough to be a beanie, so it's more like a leaf beret. Or I guess it's more like a leaf yarmulke since it's flat on his head. His little extra something something is gonna be a bow tie, except that it's sort of behind his hands. I'm having the same problem that I had with the star. So I added a little black outline and some folds to make it more obvious that this is a bow tie. For the cheeks, since he's already pink, I'm gonna have to go with red. Let me add on the face. He's gonna have a sweet little sleepy smile. And of course the little toe beans. For his little butt surprise, I'm gonna turn his tail into a little strawberry. And he's done. He's so handsome. Strawberry is too obvious for a name. I already have a Barry. I already have a Gary. I already have a Jerry. I'll call him Larry. Alright, here we got more boob feet again. The face is really off center. It has a round tail. And those 5 little poor nipples on the head. In a blink of your eye, she's prepped. And we're starting with a nice light blue, which is gonna need a few coats. I'm gonna give her some dark blue ears and a tail. And then I'm adding a white fluffy tummy, which I really should have planned for before because this took way too many coats of white. I think that was more the fault of the mix that I was using, but oh well. Once that was finally covered, I'm adding a flower crown with dots of bunches of colors that I already had mixed for other squishies. I'm doing pretty well at remembering the rosy cheeks, and I really need to do this more. Maybe it's because I don't blush my own cheeks that I forget to do it in my art. I added some blue tootsies, a blue nose, a tongue, not blue, and she's gonna have a really happy and like open-mouthed expression. And I did it freehand. I didn't even sketch this one. I'm going crazy over here. But then her eyeliner ended up uneven. I always have that problem too. For the back, she got some butterfly wings. She's not a butterfly, she's just wearing costume wings. You know, the ones people wear? She's one of those girls, you know? She's earthy and goes to festivals and walks around barefoot a lot. Anyway, I was originally going to do fairy wings, but I decided that that was going to be a little hard to do on such a tiny surface, so I just went with butterfly wings. I tried to use colors that match the flower crown, but I think it would have looked better with just blue and red. Like I was really liking how it looked before I added the yellow and purple on there. But oh well. She's done. Her name. Okay, well, I guess her name can be Fairy because she wishes her creator made her a fairy. Alright, the last one. This final pink girl has more boob feet. Her nose is off center. She's got rough seams. No, don't run away. I'll fix you. Okay, now that she's prepped, I'm gonna start by painting her yellow. Well, most of her. After many coats of that, I'm gonna sketch out some diagonal lines with a white gel pen. Kind of like waffle cone lines, but this isn't a waffle cone. Then I used a nice warm brown to paint over these lines, because this is gonna be a pineapple. I don't know why I wanted to do a pineapple, because doing diagonal lines on 3D objects is a real pain in the butt. The chances of the lines staying parallel are very low, and they usually come out all sorts of wonky. Luckily, this gal worked out okay. I did go back over the lines to try to even out the thickness a bit though. I also made a huge mess with lots of little smudges. So let me just clean all that up. Then, I said this was a pineapple, but it's not. It's actually a bunny in a pineapple costume. So I need to paint her face back on, peeking out of the costume. And her ears, and her arms, and her legs. Basically, I just made a big mess. I really should have been more careful because covering up those brown lines is turning out to be no easy task. And this white mixture that I'm using must be a little too much matte paint compared to puffy paint because it's just getting lumpier and lumpier with each coat. So I went over it with a few layers of straight puffy paint to even it out a bit. At this point, I'm not really concerned with the opacity so much as the smoothness. So after 3 coats of puffy paint, it looked a lot smoother, but really shiny compared to the rest of the squishy. So I went back over it with 1 more coat of the puffy matte mixture to tone it down a little. This is obviously very extra and way more work that could have been avoided if I just left the spot for the face originally. But, oh well, we're here now. So let's add the cheeks, the toesies, and she's gonna have a really annoyed face because wearing a pineapple costume was definitely not her first choice. I mean, it was my first choice because it's adorable, but still. I added a little leafy headpiece and then touched up the back of her ears and her tail. She's not getting any fun butt surprise because she's already pretty cool looking back there. So she's done. I actually think she might be my favorite. The costume and her annoyed little expression, she gives me cute aggression. What to call her though? She needs a really pretty name to make up for being put in her silly costume. Snowberry. What? I don't know. I like snow and it rhymes. So that's all of them. Did you guess the theme? Haha, there was no theme. Well, not really. I mean, they're rainbow, but that's not really a theme. And the rhyming names actually came later. But I do really like Larry, Carrie, Snowberry, Harry, Fairy, and Mary. What do you think? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.